Hello students, I am Dr. Pooja Mehta from Inder Kumar Gujral, Punjab Technical University, Kapurthala, Punjab. Now we will discuss meaning of emotions and moods. In the present era of business, with increased focus on human processes in the organization, emotions and feelings have received considerable importance. It is well known to all that emotions are universal. However, in order to communicate with others more effectively, different emotions are experienced and expressed differently. In an organizational setting, the concept of emotions did not receive much attention before 1990s. The focus of workplace emotions was confined only to the feeling of job satisfaction. But due to growing service industry and growing number of frontline workers who are expected to display desired emotions all the time, the concept of emotions has been placed on the top of every organization's agenda. Now we will discuss emotions and moods in detail. Emotions are intense feelings which are directed at someone or something. They are neural impulses that move an individual to certain action. Emotion includes three components: physiological arousal, expressive behavior, and conscious experience. Emotions can be categorized into two categories: primary emotions and secondary emotions. Firstly, we will discuss primary emotions. Primary emotions are those which we experience firstly. For example, if we are threatened, we will firstly feel fear. If we hear some good news, firstly we will feel happy. So, these are the primary emotions. Next is secondary emotions. Secondary emotions are those emotions which appear after primary emotions. For example, if a person feels fear, that fear may turn into anger and stimulate that person to fight, or that fear may turn to depression and stimulate the person to quit the situation. Secondary emotions reveal the picture of a person's mental processes. Moods are less intense feelings that often lack contextual stimulus. It means that moods are not directed at someone or something. It is believed that emotions are more fleeting than moods. For example, when you are angry with someone, that feeling of angriness probably fades away more quickly, maybe in seconds. But when you are in a bad mood, you may feel bad for several hours. Emotions are reactions of individuals for a person, for an object, or for an event. But moods are usually not directed at someone. Prolonged emotions can be converted into moods, especially when you lose the focus on the event or object or the person. Dear students, now we will discuss the difference between moods and emotions. Emotions are usually caused by specific events, and in comparison to this, moods are usually general and unclear. Emotions are very brief in nature and sustained for a shorter period of time. In comparison to this, moods last longer than emotions. Emotions are numerous in nature, whereas moods are generally of two types: good and bad. Emotions are expressed by facial expressions, whereas moods are not indicated by facial expressions. Emotions are action oriented. In comparison to this, moods are cognitive in nature. Now we will discuss basic emotions and moods. Firstly, basic emotions. In our daily life, we experience so many types of emotions. There are dozens of emotions which are usually felt by individuals in different situations. Some common emotions are anger, contempt, enthusiasm, envy, fear, frustration, jealousy, disappointment, embarrassment, happiness, hate, hope, joy, love, pride, surprise, and sadness. Many psychologists and researchers have attempted to generalize these so many moods in order to identify basic sets of emotions. Though psychologists try to determine basic sets of emotion, but it is very hard to reach on a common set of emotion which is agreed by all. However, many researchers have agreed on six universal emotions. These six universal emotions are anger, fear, sadness, happiness, disgust, and surprise. Now we will discuss some basic assumptions of emotions. These assumptions are given by psychoevolutionary theory of emotions. The first assumption of this theory is the concept of emotions is universal and hence applicable to all evolutionary levels. It is also applicable to animals. Second assumption of this theory is emotions have history of evolution. They have evolved from different expressions in different species. Emotions play an adaptive role. Despite different forms of expression of emotions, there are certain common patterns of expressing emotions. The next assumption is basic or primary emotions are relatively smaller in number. All other emotions are mixed. They occur as a combination of primary emotions. Primary emotions are hypothetical states whose characteristics can be inferred from various evidences. Primary emotions can be conceptualized in the terms of pairs of polar opposites. All emotions vary in their degree of similarity to one another. Each emotion can exist in varied degree of intensity. Now we will discuss basic moods. Classification of emotions is not easy. One possible alternative to classify emotions is to determine whether they are associated with positive feelings or negative feelings. Positive emotions such as joy and happiness express favorable feelings, and negative emotions such as anger and sadness express unfavorable feelings. When we categorize emotions as positive and negative, they become moods. The structure of moods is given in the exhibit shown here. In the exhibit, excited reflects high positive affect, whereas boredom express low positive affect. Nervous reflect pure high negative affect, and relaxed express low negative affect. Other emotions such as contentment and sadness are mixture of low and high, positive and negative affect. Therefore, we can say that positive affect is a dimension of moods which include positive emotions such as excitement, elated, and happy at the higher end, and depressed, bored, and fatigued at the lower end. On the other hand, negative affect is a dimension of moods which includes negative emotions such as nervous, stressed, tensed at the higher end, and relaxed, calm, and poised at the lower end. Dear students, now we will discuss sources of emotions and moods. The first source of emotions and moods is personality. Most of the people have the inbuilt tendency to experience certain moods and emotions. These people also change their moods and emotions more frequently than others. The intensity of emotions also differs from individual to individual. Some individuals experience emotions more strongly than others. This is called affect intensity. The individuals who are affectively intense experience positive and negative emotions deeply than those who are less intense. Second source is day of the week and time of the day. A particular day of the week or particular time of the day may also influence your moods and emotions. Research has indicated that generally people experience positive emotions and moods in the last days of week, and they experience worst moods and emotions during starting days of the week. In addition to this, time of the day also determine our emotions. Generally, people experience peak levels of positive emotions during middle part of the day. Next source of emotion is weather. Many people believe that their mood is associated with weather. Do we experience positive emotions on a sunny day or on a rainy day? Many researchers have found that weather has very little effect on the moods and emotions of the people. Next source of emotions and moods is stress. Stress leads to negative emotions. Stressful events at work affect our moods negatively. As the level of stress increases, our moods get worsened and we start experiencing negative emotions. The next source of emotion is social activities. Generally, social activities increase the positive moods and have very weak effect on negative emotions. The people who go out with their friends frequently tend to be happier than those who stay in isolation. Such people have more social interactions. Social interactions usually lead to good moods. Research has indicated that social activities such as skiing, hiking, going to parties, eating out with friends increase the positive emotions more strongly than formal events like attending meetings, seminars, and presentations. Next source of emotion is sleep. Sleep does affect moods and emotions. Workers who work during night shifts, students who study during late night hours, and other people who are deprived of sleep usually experience negative moods like fatigue, anger, and hostility. This is because poor sleep weakens the mental ability, decision making, and therefore also affects job dissatisfaction. Next factor is exercise. Studies have shown that exercises improve the moods. This is because exercise helps in muscle relaxation and feeling good. Therefore, exercise is better alternative for those who are strongly depressed. Another source of emotions is age. Young people tend to be emotionally weaker than older people. Studies have pointed out that young people experience negative emotions more frequently. As the age of an individual grows, negative emotions occur less and positive emotions occur more frequently. Studies have also revealed that emotional experiences improve with the age of individual. Gender. There are some gender differences in the experience and expression of emotions. Usually, it is said that females experience the emotions more intensely than males. They are also more emotionally expressive than males because they express both positive and negative emotions more frequently. Now we will discuss the concept of emotional labor. This concept was originated from service jobs like air flights, customer care, BPOs, etc. Every service sector organization expects its employees to be cheerful while interacting with the customers. Emotional labor is particularly the situation when an employee is bound to express organizationally desirable emotions during the interpersonal transactions at work. Every job demands physical and mental labor, but jobs also demand emotional labor. For example, jobs of frontline executives in hotels, hospitals, and call centers. These executives need to smile and express positive emotions while interacting with their customers. The complexity arises when employees feel some other emotion but they have to project another emotion because their jobs demand so. This disparity is called emotional dissonance. Emotional dissonance can be defined as the inconsistency between felt emotions and displayed emotions. Felt emotions are the emotions which an employee actually feels at a given point of time. Displayed emotions are the emotions which an employee is expected to project on the job. For example, a customer care employee who is feeling very sad because of some personal issues has to express the emotions which are considered as appropriate for the job while answering the inquiry call of a customer. Therefore, it is not necessary that emotions are displayed in the same way they are experienced. There are two possible ways of expressing one's emotions: surface acting and deep acting. Surface acting refers to hiding the inner feelings and doing without expressing the emotions in order to observe the display rules. Deep acting is modifying the inner feelings on the basis of display rules. Dear students, now we are going to discuss in detail affective events theory. We have already discussed that emotions and moods are important parts of our daily life. But do they affect our performance and satisfaction? This phenomena is very successfully explained by a model called affective events theory. Affective events theory proposes that employees tend to react emotionally to whatever happens to them at work, and this emotional reaction influences their job performance and satisfaction. Dear students, please look at the exhibit given here. The theory explains that daily events which are determined by work environment elicit emotional responses of employees. The work environment, including characteristics of the job, job demands, and emotional labor required on the job, generate daily events which may be full of hassles or uplifts, or both. Examples of hassles at work are excess of time pressure, conflicts with the managers, and lack of sharing workload with the colleagues. Uplifting events includes achievements of goal, getting support from colleagues, and receiving rewards from supervisors. These work events activate positive or negative emotions of individual. Emotions are further influenced by personality and moods of a person. People who are intentionally weak are more likely to respond to negative events more intensely, and people who are emotionally stable are more likely to react to negative events in a composed way. Finally, we can say that emotions affect performance and satisfaction variables such as organizational citizenship behavior, level of efforts, organizational commitment, intention to quit, and workplace deviance. Affective events theory also concludes that an emotional event is the result of so many emotional experiences which is accelerated by a single event. Current emotions influence satisfaction at a given point of time, but they are influenced by surrounding work events and environment. As moods and emotions change with time, their effect on performance and satisfaction also change. Emotionally driven behaviors sustain for a shorter period of time. Now we will study the concept of emotional intelligence. The concept of emotional intelligence became popular since 1995 through a book, Emotional Intelligence: Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. The book was published by Daniel Goleman. Emotional intelligence is a cognitive ability of a person to detect and manage emotional cues and information. Emotional intelligence can be defined as ability of a person to deal with his or her emotions, specifically to perceive and express emotions, and to regulate emotions in oneself and others. There are four basic dimensions of emotional intelligence. First dimension is self awareness. Self awareness refers to an individual's ability to understand his emotions and to express them naturally. Second dimension is social awareness. Social awareness refers to an individual's ability to understand emotions of people around him. Third dimension is self management. Self management is an individual's ability to regulate and control his emotions and to prevent himself from being depressed. And the fourth dimension of emotional intelligence is relationship management. It is an individual's ability to make use of his emotions and directing them towards constructive activities. Now we will discuss arguments in favor of emotional intelligence and arguments against emotional intelligence. Firstly, we will discuss arguments in favor of emotional intelligence. Intuitive appeal. Intuition is an inner feeling which suggests people how can they detect emotions in others, control their own emotions, and manage their social interactions. The people who have good intuitive appeal can rise up in the business faster than others. Emotional intelligence predicts the criteria that matters. Research studies suggest that a person who has high level of emotional intelligence will perform well on the job. Individuals with high level of emotional intelligence also recognize the emotions of others through their facial expressions. Now, the arguments against emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a vague concept. Many researchers consider emotional intelligence as a vague concept, as they don't think that being self aware or self managed or socially aware is a matter of having intellectual skill. Emotional intelligence cannot be measured. The concept of emotional intelligence is also criticized on the grounds that there are no valid tools for measuring it. As it is a form of intelligence, the questions measuring emotional intelligence must be having right or wrong answers. Now we will study applications of moods and emotions in OB. The study of moods and emotions is very useful in organizational behavior. Understanding moods and emotions improves ability of the managers to explain and predict selection of new employees, decision making, creativity, leadership, customer service, and safety at workplace. Firstly, we will study the application of moods and emotions in the procedure of selection. One of the most important implications of emotions and moods in the organization is its relevance in selecting and hiring new employees. Managers should consider emotional intelligence as an important attribute while hiring new employees, especially in the jobs that include high degree of social interactions. Many of the good organizations have started measuring emotional intelligence of prospective candidates. A research study on executives working in Bhel in Haridwar found that people who exhibited high levels of emotional intelligence were better performers than those who had low levels of emotional intelligence. Second application of moods and emotions is in decision making. People, when experience positive emotions or moods, tend to use heuristics and thumb rules for making good decisions. Positive moods also enhance problem solving skills and stimulate people to find better solutions. The next application of emotions in organizational behavior is creativity. Creativity is also considered to be linked with moods and emotions. People tend to be more creative when they experience good moods and emotions than when they experience bad moods and emotions. They produce more original ideas during good moods. Leadership. Effective leadership depends upon how well a leader expresses his emotions and understands the emotions of his subordinates. The expression of emotions in speeches is the important element which makes the people accept or reject the message of leader. When leaders feel enthusiastic, active, and excited, they may motivate their subordinates, spread enjoyment and optimism in their subordinates in a better way. Next application is customer service. An employee's emotional state determines how he provides service to the customers, which further determines the repeat of business and finally customer satisfaction. Emotions of an employee are transferred from him to the customer he is dealing with. It has been proved by the studies that one person catches the emotions from other persons. When an employee experiences positive emotions and smiles, customers also will more likely to respond positively. The another application of emotions and moods is safety and injury at workplace. Negative emotions are usually associated with increase in accidents and injuries at workplace. This is because people who experience negative emotions tend to be more anxious, ignore safety rules, and are more likely to be involved in the accidents. It is always suggested that rate of accidents in the organizations can be reduced by ensuring that employees are not allowed to handle dangerous activities when they are in bad moods. Usually, managers can influence moods of their employees by sharing funny videos, giving them motivational talks, appreciating their work, and offering a small tea party. Moreover, when managers themselves are in good mood, they can transfer their good moods to their employees. Managers who understand the role of emotions and moods significantly improve their ability of predicting and explaining the behavior of their subordinates and colleagues. So, students, let us now summarize. It is well known to all that emotions are universal. However, in order to communicate with others more effectively, different emotions are experienced and expressed differently. In an organizational setting, the concept of emotions did not receive much attention before 1990s. The focus of emotions at the workplace was merely confined to the feeling of job satisfaction. But due to rising service industry and growing number of frontline workers who are expected to display desired emotions all the time at the work, the concept of emotions has been placed on the top of every organization's agenda. Emotions are intense feelings which are directed at someone or something. Emotions includes three components: physiological arousal, expressive behavior, and conscious experience. Moods are less intense feelings that often lack contextual stimulus. It means that moods are not directed at someone or something. In our daily life, we experience so many types of emotions. There are dozens of emotions which are usually felt by individuals in different situations. Classification of emotions is not easy. One possible alternative to classify emotions is to determine whether they are associated with positive feelings or negative feelings. Positive feelings such as joy, happiness express favorable feelings, and negative emotions such as anger, sadness express unfavorable feelings. When we categorize emotions as positive and negative, they become our moods. Personality, time of the day of the week, stressful activities, exercise, sleeping patterns are the common sources of emotions and moods. Emotional intelligence is a cognitive ability of a person to detect and manage emotional cues and information. It can be defined as ability of a person to deal with his or her emotions, specifically to perceive and express emotions and to regulate emotion in oneself and others. There are four basic dimensions of emotional intelligence: self awareness, social awareness, self management, and relationship management. Usually, managers can influence moods of their employees by sharing funny videos, giving them motivational talks, appreciating their work, and offering a small tea party. Moreover, when managers themselves are in good mood, they can transfer their good moods to their employees. Managers who understand the role of emotions and mood significantly improve their ability of predicting and explaining the behavior of their subordinates and colleagues. Thank you.